after what you heard yesterday from Chris Paul and Draymond Green and Stephen Curry, Steve Kerr, Mike Dunleavy Jr., Q, Ron Adams, the list goes on and on and on. How are we feeling about the Warriors this morning? How are the vibes? They start training camp today. They'll have their first practice. They'll be scrimmaging together, off-season workouts. They'll be coming together. It feels more connected, but we won't see until the regular season starts how connected they are. Will it work with Chris Paul, whether or not the bench thing happens and everybody fixated on that? I'm more worried about Jonathan Kuminga taking that leap. Is he ready to take that leap in year 3? I can't wait. He was excited yesterday. I was excited. Andrew Wiggins, the most slept-on storyline with this basketball team. Feels good. Chopped it up with him a little bit. He feels good. Everything's behind him. And this guy's ready to play every single night. We forgot how two-way Wiggs was balling before he suffered a right adductor strain. I'm feeling good about the Warriors. What a contrast between the Warriors, the Niners, and the freaking Giants.
My favorite part of yesterday was seeing Chris Paul essentially diffuse the whole starting thing right off the rip.
Let's hear it.
I actually had an opportunity in '08 to come off the bench for the Olympic team. You know what I mean? And that went pretty well. And I think anybody who knows me knows that I'm all about winning. You know what I mean? Whatever I can do to help our team win. So I know coaching us, we're going to talk about it and see what it looks like. We've been hooping all summer, and I think, for the season, it's going to be whatever to help our team win. And I think I've at least tried to show or proven that my entire career. So
how'd that make you feel?
It made me feel great because it tells me that, last year was about credit and who still's got what and who's going to make what and who needs to get extended. Whereas now it feels about more maturity. It feels more about, let's accomplish something together. And to have Chris Paul, who say all the right things, right, in front of the podium day one, like, we can let a little air out. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You can exhale a little. You can all just take a deep breath. And I think that this is going to end up being a really good start to the season.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what's going to happen. You got to play games. You got to play well. I'm sure at the first sight of adversity, we'll all have our microscopes out and we'll be looking for drama. But for him to diffuse a situation, like, yeah, you got to play the game part element to it. But this is kind of why they brought Chris Paul in. They needed an adult in the room.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I think that this was a big step in the right direction.
Well, again, pivoting off of, hey, we're going to bring in the Jordan Pooles and the Wisemans, and we're going to play these guys, and we need them to help us out. And it's like, you know what? It just doesn't fit. I think Wiseman could still be a very good player in the NBA. Guy averaged 14-9. Nobody's watching Pistons basketball, but I still think he has a bright future. We know Jordan Poole is going to get buckets in D.C. And then Kyle Kuzma's going to put on a show. Now, will they win a lot of games? That will be determined. I'm pulling for them because DeLon Wright's on that basketball team, starting his 9th season in the NBA. Shout out City College San Francisco men's basketball team.
9 seasons.
9 seasons, DeLon Wright.
Wow.
JUCO product. Love it. Little brother for Darrell Wright. Chris Paul, just watching him navigate through media day. And we ran a promo together, and his acting skills and one of his good friends.
Did you hit him with the you acting?
Oh, I was like, you know how to act. He was like, you know I do. But Big Dog City was roommates with one of his good friends, so I brought him up. It was like, yeah, that's my guy. That's my guy. And well, Big Dog City used to room with him at Morehouse College back in the day. And I was mentioning, like, yeah, he used to always talk about this guard from North Carolina. He's going to be the truth. He's going to be the truth. Lo and behold, it was you. And, it turned out to be you are the truth. You know what I'm saying? Whether or not we like it or not. Chris Paul's walking into the Hall of Fame, and he's on the short list of one of the greatest point guards of all time. So that I am eager to see that second unit. And here's another aspect of it. We haven't even talked about GP2 being healthy. GP2 is running around. We 11 deep, dog. We 11 deep. And Dario Saric. Dario Saric, I thought, was very insightful on the situation here with the Golden State Warriors.
Why? Why do you say that?
Because he said, I've been on a lot of teams, and he's been on some big boy teams. Mm-hmm. The Suns, the Sixers. We forget that final series flip when he tore his ACL with the Phoenix Suns and gets Milwaukee. But he was talking about, guys don't buy in the role sometimes. They want to be the guy. And you realize on a team with Steph and Clay and Wiggins and Draymond and CP, just find your role. Help the team. It's about winning the championship. It's about hanging the banner. And when I look at Sarge's skill set with that second unit, with Jonathan Kuminga. The guy could pick and pop. The guy go down on the block and finish. He played with Chris Paul down in Phoenix. He knows about the pick and roll. He's a big, tough guy. Look, is he a leaper? I'm not sure. But the guy knows his assignment. And when you get guys who know their assignment, and when Chris Paul's handling the ball and Kuminga's out of sorts, hey, Kuminga, get down there. Set the screen now. I think the second unit is going to be so much better when they're going to stabilize the game, when the starters get off to a hot start. And boom, Chris Paul's there. Now, the lineup's going to change. And I heard Steiny last week saying the lineup's going to change game by game. And that is true. That's what the Warriors do. They evolve. They change lineups left and right. You never know who started, which is why I tell fans not to get fixated with it, right? But Chris Paul or Sarge, bringing the grown-up, that grown-up mentality to that second unit to help out a Moody, to help out a Kuminga. I think the Warriors I think people are underselling the Golden State Warriors this season. I really do.
I'm excited to see it. I mean, I'm really excited to see it. It did feel like everybody was on the same page. I was listening to a little bit of the Rudy Gay stuff, and, you got Saric, Rudy Gay, CP3 on that bench now, or on the team, that's different than having Patrick Baldwin Jr., who is bright-eyed and has never played a dribble in the NBA. Right. That's different than having, James Wiseman like you had at the start of last year. It's different than having, the year prior when they had your boy, the bowling ball, as the backup point guard. Mm-hmm. They've got a little more. And I listen to Corey Joseph as well, and I see another guy who's happy. I think he can help them. Now, I still think they need another big, like somebody who's a functional big who can give them a couple minutes in a pinch. But I like collectively where the chemistry's at, and I think the chemistry is very important.
Here's Draymond on both CP3 and himself, of course, being on the same roster.
If you've ever watched Chris compete, he's kind of you may say the same thing about me, and that's okay. But he's also one of the most competitive guys that I've played against over my 11 years in this league. I'm also an extremely competitive guy, and I'm not backing down from anyone. He's not backing down from anyone. That will bring some clashes, and it has brought plenty of them. When you look at the last 7-8 years in the NBA, Chris Paul is right at the center of all of it. And guess what? So are we, and we weren't on teams.
Draymond Green. I asked
Was he in his bag yesterday?
He was. And I asked him. We chopped it up a little bit.
Over-under podcast episodes this year?
I didn't ask him about the podcast. When I did walk away from him after doing the promo show, I said I should have asked him about being a co-host. He needs a co-host. It would be nice. You, me, be a co-host on the side with Draymond Green.
It'd be very difficult considering I'm trying to trade him every other week.
Well,
I'm teasing. I'm
teasing.
I'm
not.
teasing.
I know you're teasing, but I'm not in this. I trade all the time. We were sharing laughs, and we said something actually. We were
what
joking
did he
around.
say, Ben Simmons?
Well, no, he didn't say that. But we were talking about something, and his line was, I was like, maybe you could say, but where's your rings at? And I looked at my hands, and I was like, you know what? Anna may be watching and listening. It's probably not something to joke about right now when it comes to rings and something. So listen, he got a good kick out of that. But I asked him, I said, what do you mean by the most important season of your career? He goes, it's about that fifth. That's why. It's about that fifth. And we ain't talking about Hennessy. We ain't talking about tequila.
If it was a fifth, E40?
It was a fifth. And Mr. Fab was walking around.
We'd all be drunk?
Yeah. It's about that fifth ring. That is the mentality. So look, we don't know where it's going to shake out. You can say they're too small. You can say Denver's better or whatnot.
Are they too old?
The Warriors, look, internally, they were a disaster last season.
Yes.
They're in the Western Conference semifinals, despite being a disaster. Just our pure talent alone and no chemistry.
Can I push back a little? Just a little. Could have easily lost to the Kings. We have to acknowledge that.
And you could have easily been in the seventh game with the LA Lakers.
Okay. That's how razor thin the margins are.
Yeah, you got Lonnie Walker one game. Lonnie freaking Walker. We'll never hear from him ever again. Unless Steiny brings him up because he's from Reading, PA. It's the only time we'll hear about Lonnie Walker ever again.
Well, that was one of the main problems. Is you couldn't stop guys like, Lonnie Walker last year.
Candle stays lit.
Here's Sarge. He's happy to be in the Bay.
He feels so satisfied with himself.
No, he does. And what did the Lakers do last year? Not a damn thing. And Anthony Davis is calling out Jokic.
No. They had one of the most impressive sweeps of all time.
Oh, that's right.
Remember?
Yeah, that's right.
It's one of the most impressive losses in 4
the
games.
The Lakers absolutely were terrific in going down in this series. I'm not sure I've seen a more impressive performance in a sweep ever.
Can't argue with that.